Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is Gatling Gears? This is a game by Vanguard Games. Maybe you've heard of them, if you've been paying any attention. Chances are you haven't, so allow me to elaborate and illuminate. Vanguard Games came up with a game called Greed Corp. I did a WTF Is of it some time ago, perhaps you remember, maybe you don't. That actually was not a very highly viewed video, I really don't know why that is, but whatever the case, Greed Corp was a hex... Yeah, it was kind of a hex-based, turn-based strategy game. It's kind of cool, a little bit simplistic, but kind of neat nonetheless. And this is a twin-stick shooter. The weird thing about this is it's set in the same universe. Yeah. It's kind of like if Civilization became an FPS. It doesn't really make a huge amount of sense, does it? But the kind of unique aesthetic and the neat world that they were putting together, which I believe they're calling Mistbound at the moment. I think that's the name of their world. They intend to create more games within this world. Can kind of lend itself to different types of games. So they came with Gatling Gears, which came out on console first and now is on PC. And I believe this is published under the EA Partner Program. So I'll have a look and see what this is all about. So there are two modes, campaign and survival. Both of these can be played with local or online co-op. There are, of course, also leaderboards as well. Oh my god, achievements! Yes, indeed there are. Now, you might see a login screen right here. Yes, quite. So, this login is the online system. Now, the online system gets you save data, yeah? The save data is saved on the cloud, but look at that. Progress that occurs while signed in will not advance offline progress. So, yes, you can play this offline. It's fine. But the two saves are basically not linked. The saves are on the EA cloud, which actually is kind of annoying, because if I wanted to take this game on the train, for instance, and play, it looks like I'd have a separate offline save. Kind of irritating. With Steam, usually you can copy it across, and it's a bit fiddly, but you can make it happen. With this system, it seems like you just can't do that at all, so it's a bit of a pain. Okay, so this is the option screen. We always like to look at that if we're looking at PC ports, because, of course, option screens are often neglected. In this case, they've kind of done the same thing. Yes, there are a full bank of resolution options, including 640 by 480. I was nowhere that anyone started a monitor that ran in that res, but all the way up, of course, to that. It doesn't go to 2560 by 1600, which kind of annoys me, but you can have those resolutions. 1920 by 1200 is okay. You can do windowed, you can do full screen, aspect ratio, shadow quality, and anti-aliasing, and that really is about it in terms of the options, so not exactly impressive. What kind of annoys me, I suppose, more than anything, is that there are no rebindable keys. Thankfully, the keys are in good positions for me, but that doesn't mean they are good for everybody, so that is something to bear in mind. Please stop doing this. Can we please have rebindable keys? That would be great. At least they kind of have two options, as you can see. Each of the buttons has two different sets. You can do this one, which I assume is perhaps for left-handed people, and then you can do this one over there, and then you've got two keys for each of these, and then, of course, you've got mouse control as well. Needless to say, you can also use a gamepad. I do not want to use a gamepad, so I have no intention of using a gamepad. But my gamepad is plugged in, so we want to make sure that that is turned off, otherwise horrible things will happen. And you can add friends. Don't really see the point in that. There's a full sort of how to play. You really do not need to know this. Okay, so I skipped through the first level, boot camp, because that was where the tutorial was. So I can go straight onto the second. As you can see, there are 5 sets of levels. Prologue has 5 levels in it. I don't know how many the rest have, but we can assume 5 on each for about 25 levels, and there are also 3 survival maps with different objectives. Let's get started, shall we? We're going to go on medium. Here we go. So you are playing the Empire on this one, which is one of the 4 factions in the Mistbound world, and we will show you what's going on with this. I haven't seen any storyline whatsoever thus far, other than the fact that we are being attacked by the Freemen. Yes. And there is a pirate shop, because that is the best kind of shop. So at the pirate shop, you can buy upgrades. You buy upgrades by, I believe, getting gold bars, which I actually have none of whatsoever, which is kind of upsetting. As you can see, it actually changes the appearance of the walker, which is kind of cool. I like that a lot. I currently have this chain gun cannon here. There are 4 sets of weapons. Actually, yes, there are 4 sets of weapons. There is the chain gun cannon, there is the cannon, there is the grenade launcher, and there is the spark bomb, which basically annihilates everything on the screen. And I can also upgrade my armor if I so desire. Pretty basic upgrades, nothing all that special, as you can quite clearly see there. But you can make a bigger, stompier walker as you go along. There are also unlockables. These include skins, special effects, and a pet. Yes, you can actually have a pet that follows you around. It's interesting, and you gain experience in order to make this happen. Without further ado, let's go kill something, because that is what this game is all about. It is a twin-stick shooter. So, it involves shooting with twin sticks, needless to say. That is my chain gun cannon. Those are actually friendly, funnily enough. We really do not want to be under that. That's probably going to be extremely painful. Explosions! And epic rock music. Here we go. Okay, so, things explode. That's the general idea of it, to the point where, even though I turned the volume down, it's really loud. So, give me a moment, please. Good God, why? Every time. Every single time. This is the third time I've tried to film this, and every time it's been too loud. I'm going to have to knock this down really low. Okay. There we go. I think I can hear myself think although barely. Right, so your cannon and your grenade launcher, they have to recharge. Your chain gun, well, that just keeps firing, so that's always nice. There are a lot of destructible things here. I also have this. This is a Gatling booster. And yeah, it is as cool as it sounds. Unfortunately, it's time-based, so I didn't get to use that on anything cool, but hey, we'll go with it. There are quite a few power-ups around the place. So, the first thing I would say about this is that the destruction is very cool to watch. The weapons, particularly the cannon, feels like they've got a huge amount of power behind them, which is kind of neat. And weapons do get significantly more ridiculous as you go. You collect these gears right here in order to gain score, which I assume is also related to experience, and of course the online leaderboards. What I also like about it is the fact that the presentation in general is just really solid. For instance, it's got really great music. The aesthetic is cool because they took it out of Greed Corp. This is this mist-bound world that they call it. It's neat in that respect. And as a direct result, it doesn't feel as generic as it otherwise would. And I'd kind of have problems with it otherwise. Also, you've got guys helping you out, which means it feels like you're in the middle of an actual war. Look at the design of these tanks, for instance, and the flyers. The flyers are actually just gliders, like made out of paper or something. And that is really kind of awesome, honestly. It's not generic as a result of that. Aesthetics do matter, folks. Some people will say, oh, well, it's looks, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. Looks matter an awful lot, in fact. It's the same thing I've said about Star Wars The Old Republic. For instance, the PvP would be generic if it wasn't friggin' Star Wars. Because it's Star Wars, you get that great Star Wars feeling. The blasters all over the place and all sorts of great stuff going on. Lightsabers, authentic Star Wars music and sound effects. That matters. In this case, you've got a similar thing, only it's in this weird steampunky world. And I approve of that. Also, almost everything can explode. I approve of that, too. The destruction in general is quite awesome in this game. And I'm a fan of that as a direct result. I've reviewed quite a few twin-stick shooters, actually. Twin-stick shooters are extremely common these days. Of course, one of the most well-known twin-stick shooters is the one and only Geometry Wars. And very few twin-stick shooters tend to match that kind of polish and really great gameplay. In this case, Gatling Gears actually feels really good. I think they understand what is required in a twin-stick shooter. It must be manic. There must be a lot of explosions. There must be a lot of dudes, and your weapons must feel like you are raining down the wrath of an angry god upon your foes. And in this case, even with very basic weaponry, it actually does feel that way. It helps that I'm also in a mech, and very few games actually let you do that. They're usually a ship of one sort or another. In this case, it is a mech. It handles like one. And funnily enough... Oh, excuse me for a second. Grenades! Yes! Look at that! The power-ups are ridiculous in this game. I love it. Anyway, as I was saying before I was so deliciously interrupted, the controls work really well, and more often than not, you find twin-stick shooters don't work all that well with mouse and keyboard because of lack of position and control. Because this is a mech, and because the movement isn't constant like it would be in, say, something like a ship game, you know, anything with a spaceship or whatever, you move more often. Here, the movement is more deliberate, and you can get away with it. It's a mech. You can do that. Hell, Mech Warrior worked with a mouse and keyboard. Why the hell couldn't this game? And indeed, it works just fine. So I'm pretty happy with that. It does, once again, kind of suck that you can't rebind the keys, but the default controls are pretty solid, and of course you do have the option of a gamepad as well, which, as far as I'm concerned, should be in the arsenal of every PC gamer. I actually got shouted out on Reddit for suggesting that, and you know what? I come from an older school of PC gamer whereby we bought joysticks to play games like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and we didn't view that as remotely unusual. So we also have no problems buying gamepads either, because there were games that worked better with gamepads, and there still are. Something to consider. There are some of the newer generation of PC gamer, I feel, that are overly averse to peripherals, and that doesn't make any sense, because you know what? As PC gamers, we have access to everything. Hell, we can plug in a PS3 or 360 compatible controller. We can get a Wiimote working with our system if we so desire. We can get a Kinect working with our system if we so desire. We can make everything explode if we so desire. And we do, I might add. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, we do. Gatling booster, grenade booster. I want more of these things, because they are freaking brilliant. I have played so many twin-stick shooters in the last 6 months, and this one really does rate quite highly. Oh my god, a cannon. Oh, yes, look at that. Yeah, this one actually does rank up pretty damn high in terms of ultra-violence. And I rather like that, folks. I rather like it. It's a good-looking game. It's well presented. It feels slick. The PC port is extremely solid, with the exception of the things that I've already mentioned. Performance is rock solid. There are no obvious problems with it, as far as I can tell. And perhaps you play too many of these games and you're not really a fan of it, and I can hardly blame you for that. For me, though, twin-stick shooters are the kind of games that I like to dip into for 10 to 20 minutes at a time. I just feel like, say, Nation Red, for instance. I play loads of Nation Red. And I'll go back to Nation Red every now and again and just say, hey, look, it's Nation Red. Let's do some damage for a while. Because that's what we want to do. That's what Nation Red is all about. It's a good game to have a break, and you don't really have to think too much. You just have to gun everything down with great vengeance and furious anger, which is really what's happening here as well. So I'm a fan of that. What can I say? We need more gold, folks. We do, in fact, need more gold. I need more boosters. I want a new booster. I want that grenade booster back. That was amazing. Oh, yeah, I should probably show you the spark bomb at some point, shouldn't I? Oh. Gatling booster! Yes! Sorry, never mind. Just give me a moment while I decimate everything on the planet. There we go. Oh my god, that's so good. That is fun. That is back to power-based gameplay. Are those mines? Those look like mines. Okay, spark bomb! Bam! Not anymore, they aren't. Look at that. Really nice looking game. Handles really, really well. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the area cleared. Has local and online co-op. It is just a solid, solid, solid game. It is entirely generic. But, and that's perhaps the most important thing, it does what it does well. It executes it really well. And there's barely any loading times. In fact, there's none whatsoever. We're right back into it as we go through to the next area. Oh, it looks like we've actually got some air support as well. I love the designs of all the vehicles in these games as well. They're so bizarre. I mean, look at that thing. That thing shouldn't even fly. But hey, it can. The pirate shop, I do not believe, will yield any goodies for us at the moment because we do not quite have enough. But I believe I have given you enough information on the subject of Gatling Gears, aside from the price, of course. It's currently about £5.50 or £6 or so on Steam. $10. Most likely €10. I haven't had the chance to check, I'm afraid. I actually picked this up off Gamersgate, not Steam. It went on Gamersgate just before it went on Steam. You can buy it on either. It doesn't use Steamworks, so personally, if it doesn't use Steamworks, in fact, even if it does use Steamworks, I'll buy it on Gamersgate because it's just more convenient. I prefer using Gamersgate for stuff, and you get like cash back and stuff, so it's pretty cool. But in terms of any game like this, it's nicer really not to have it on Steam, just because it's handy to install on different drives, for instance. It's just easier in general. I don't have to load Steam up. If I happen to be on a train or whatever and I don't have access and I haven't set my Steam to offline mode already, then I don't have problems with it. Just call me a traditionalist if you like. I just like to be able to choose where my games actually get installed and not be stuck on one drive. There are times, for instance, where I want to put something on the SSD, and if it's from Steam, I can't do that in a convenient manner. Yes, there are ways of doing it, but it's a bit of a hassle. So, hence the reason I'll buy from Gamersgate for the most part, and they do have great customer service. Aside from that, however, you can, of course, buy it on Steam, and I don't begrudge anyone for doing so. I've put links to both in the description below this video, because I'm just a kind and generous soul like that. But Gatling Gears from Vanguard Games is a curious departure from their first game, Greed Corp, but I'm glad to see more games using this really awesome little universe right here, this cool steampunky style, because it is sufficiently unique, even though the game itself is highly generic, to be worth a look. My name is TotalBiscuit. That was a look at Gatling Gears, and I will see you next time.